Tonight on OTV News, Bye Bye Birdie begins performances.
Academic achievements are awarded at Scholarship Recognition Day.
And a look at the do and don't list of what to feed the ducks.
All that and more on OTV News.
Good evening and thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris Morgan.
And I'm Matt Triola.
This weekend opens the production of Bye Bye Birdie, a musical put on by the music and theater departments here at Muskingum University. The production stars Nick Alessandrini, who takes the lead of Conrad Birdie, a parody of an Elvis Presley-type character. The production will be directed by Chair of the Communication, Media, and Theater Department, Gene Alessandrini, who took over after the death of John Kuhn. Junior John Webb, who plays the role of Albert Peterson, explains the history between Kuhn and Bye Bye Birdie.
That's what sparked John getting involved in theater when he was in high school. He had no prior interest in theater until he was in a high school production of Bye Bye Birdie. And when he and Olga decided that they were going to do Bye Bye Birdie, he was so excited. We all were excited.
The show will be dedicated in Kuhn's honor. It will run Friday and Saturday at 8 in the evening and have a 2 in the afternoon showing on Sunday.
The College Drive Presbyterian Church in New Concord has been serving the community for over 10 years with its weekly food party. And now they are in the process of planning of starting a new ministry project to serve the community. The College Drive Presbyterian Church is working with the Ed and Kelly Jones's E&K Car Wash and Laundromat to have the ministry's Loads of Love. People that are signed up with the church can use certain discounted laundry machines every one.
It's really important to have the relationship in any sort of mission, whatever it is you might want to call it, but what we're really trying to do is grow our connection among the folks here in East Muskingum and in New Concord and all those things. I mean, it's a way for us to share our spirit and share the hospitality of Christ.
The 84th Annual Scholarship Recognition Day was hosted in Brown Chapel to kick off Parents Weekend. Orbit Media News correspondent Nicholas Lambus has more on the story.
The 84th Annual Scholarship Recognition Day was hosted in Brown Chapel for students who received awards for their academic achievements, hard work, and dedication. Chair of Communication, Media, and Theater Department Gene Alessandrini talked about the ceremony and his feelings surrounding it.
It went really well. It went really well. People initially, they look at the program and realize how many names are there. But the reality is these are students who have performed really, really well, and they deserve the recognition. When I had students walk across the stage who received the annual awards or the specialty awards, I said hello to them every time they walked past me.
Every year, the winner of the William Oxley Thompson Award for Excellence in Teaching makes a speech at the beginning of Scholarship Recognition Day. For Orbit Media News, I'm Nicholas Lambus.
When we come back, we'll take a look at your Fighting Muskie sports action, as well as what to feed and what not to feed the ducks. Here's a hint. It's not quackers.
We'll also find out who won the WMCO and Orbit TV Broadcasters of the Year. The Communication, Media, and Theater Department held their annual banquet last Saturday during Parents Weekend. Orbit Media News correspondent Brenna Busby has the highlights of the banquet, including who won Orbit TV Broadcaster of the Year.
Last Saturday during Parents Weekend, students, family, and faculty of the Communication, Media, and Theater Department attended the annual CMT banquet. The banquet is held every year recognizing the work that students and faculty do. Chair of the department, Professor Gene Alessandrini, gave the opening statement and turned it to his fellow colleagues who handed out awards in forensics, radio, television, and the theater departments. Professor Rachel Pollack recognized key members of the forensics. Dr. Lisa Marshall recognized management students in the Black and the Duncan, and trainees and management staff of WMCO. Dr. Tom Gurman gave awards out to management staff, students, and Professor Ron Lauk, along with Allison Drini, recognized key members of the theater department. Allison Drini announced that in memory of John Kuhn, Associate Professor of Communication, that the John Kuhn Memorial Theater Award for Service is going to the whole cast and crew of Bye Bye Birdie. Allison Drini expresses his thoughts on the year's ups and downs.
It was a great year in terms of accomplishments of our students. It was a bittersweet year because we lost a really close colleague. It was a difficult year at times because we were at part staff. You know, we had Dr. Harmon, Dr. Rayo were on sabbatical, but everybody pulled together in all those capacities and really, really worked hard to do a fine job. So I would have to say it was a really phenomenal year in terms of people working really hard and pulling it all together.
Also at the banquet, the WMCO and Orbit Television Broadcasters of the Year were announced. The Broadcaster of the Year for WMCO was Promotions Director Kayla Rausch, who created an entire promotion system for Orbit Media as a whole, while Carissa Kent won Orbit Television Broadcaster of the Year for her commitment to breaking news stories. For Orbit Media News, I'm Brenna Busby.
Last Saturday, Dr. Jane Varley, chair of the English department, gave a presentation and speech to the Association of Writers and Writing Programs in Minneapolis. Varley has gone to the conference over 20 times, but past year was her 5th presentation. Her presentation was a 15-minute speech about J. Meek, who was a well-known American poet who died in 2007. Varley speaks out about how she planned to talk about Meek.
It was very hard for me to figure out what I'm going to say because I feel very emotional about it too, and I miss him. I'm sad that he's gone, yet his poetry is so moving to me. It was hard to find the words of what I want to say. Different than in a classroom where you're giving a lesson, this is a way of honoring a person that meant a lot to me.
Phi Kappa Phi, an honor society to recognize and encourage superior scholarship, held their annual initiation ceremony in Walter Hall this past Sunday on April 12th. Inductees must be in the top 7.5% of the junior class, 10% of the senior class, or top 10% of graduate students. Dr. Peter Gosnell gave a speech about the difference between wisdom and knowledge. Students received a cord, pin, and benefit packet.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at the softball team's current winning streak.
And find out why the campus Ducks want you to lay off the bread and quackers. All that and more when we return to OTV News.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 and 10 p.m. for fellowship worship and a good message brought to you by Chaplain Will Mullins.
The Muskie softball has been on a tear recently, winning 9 games in a row. After sweeping Bethany Wednesday, the Muskies won the first game 7-0, then got to win Game 2 in dramatic fashion with an extra innings walk-off sacrifice fly by Kelly Martin. Sarah Browning and Haley Diebel combined to give up only 3 hits in Game 1, with Browning getting the credit for the win. Browning was also able to pitch for the second game, giving 5 innings of relief to starter Kristen Gill, while earning her second win on the day. With the wins, Browning has brought her record to 7-8 on the year and has lowered her ERA to 3.52. The hot streak has propelled the Muskies to 19-15 on the season. While helping the team move up the OAC standings, Muskies are currently in a 3-way tie with John Carroll and Ottobein. They sit just behind a game behind the third-place team, Ohio Northern, who the Muskies swept earlier this month. The baseball team hasn't been as fortunate lately, losing 8 of their last 10 games. The most recent was an extra inning loss to Ohio Northern, Ohio Wesleyan. The Muskies played well following a poor performance against Mount Union at home, falling 20-6 and 18-0 in 2 games against the Purple Raiders. The losses brought the Muskies team ERA up to 5.78 on the year. The Muskies now stand at 10-20 on the season with a home date against Otterbein up next on Saturday. That doubleheader will end the 5-game homestand for the Muskies. The men's lacrosse team has hit a bit of a slump recently, losing 7 games in a row, including home losses to OAC rivals Capital and Mount Union. The men stand at 3-8 on the season and will try to draw closer to 500 in the final 3 games of the season. The leading scorer for the men is Andrew Bookbinder with an outstanding 32 points. Zach Kern is in second for the team with 22. The women are still searching for their first win, standing 0-10 on the year. The Muskies fell to Mount Union on the road with their most recent game, 22-4. The leading scorer for the women is Ashley Adams with 24 points this season. She is part of a freshman duo of herself and Katie Meggery, who has 14 goals. The Muskies will try again to get their win number 1 when they host Wilmington on Saturday. That does it for sports. When we come back, we'll have a look at how the campus ducks are being fed at Muskingum, only on OTV News.
New Concord Village Council meets every second Monday of the month, but you don't have to go. You can catch it on Orbit TV the week of council at 7, noon, and 7. Tune in and be up to date on all things New Concord, only on Orbit Television.
Can't make it to chapel? Tune in on Orbit TV to catch the weekly chapel service every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 5 and 10 p.m. for fellowship, worship, and a good message brought to you by Chaplain Will Mullins.
Muskingum University Rotaract Club is sponsoring a career coffeehouse to give students an opportunity to speak to professionals in their area of study in a casual setting. Club advisor Amy Gooden says all students should take advantage of the event.
Maybe it isn't an area, we're not offering anything in your area. I would encourage students to come, because anytime you can listen in to someone's experiences might give you might hear something that will benefit you in the future.
The Career Coffeehouse takes place on April 20th at 7 in the evening. It will be in the Sandra Wolf Thompson Theater in Caldwell Hall.
As the weather gets nicer, the campus lake becomes a popular spot to visit, and feeding the ducks is a common activity. However, Erica Cantor, the lead of visitor operations in the wilds, says feeding the ducks bread, crackers, and snacks is not healthy for the animals.
We don't want them to lose their instinct and their natural foraging ability, so unfortunately, as fun as it is to feed ducks, your best bet is just observe safely from a distance.
Cantor says when the ducks don't get the nutrients they need, it can lead to disfigured wings, dysfunctional body parts, broken bones, and more.
Parents Weekend featured several events spanning the course of last weekend. Orbit Media News correspondent Nicholas Lambus has more on one of the events.
Relay for Life held another successful series of events this past Parents Weekend. Relay for Life is a national organization that seeks to raise support and awareness of cancer and those affected by it. President of Relay for Life here at Muskingum, Mackenzie Haggie, helped put together a talent show as well as a special 2-day event that followed it. The 2-day event took place in the Rec Center Gymnasium. There, people could participate in a raffle, buy t-shirts, make luminaries, and walk around the gym while listening to music provided by local New Concord band Blue Mercury and the Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia member-headed band Surreal. The luminary ceremony was the highlight of the night. The lights went down and the luminaries went up, each having a name or names written on them in memory of those who lost their battle with cancer. This was the 4th year Haggie was part of Relay for Life, the 2nd year she was on exec board, and the 1st year she was the president. This year, the group raised over $600. For Orbit Media News, I'm Nicholas Lambus.
Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week with another edition of OTV News. Have a good night.
You can follow us on Twitter